Here is a video about how I bonded Turbo and Jelly in just 8 days. Before I start, I need to let you know a few things. Firstly, this is going to be a two-part video because about a month after they were bonded, they had a huge fight and I had to rebond them again. So I'm going to be talking about that more in part 2, and this video is just going to be about the first time they were bonded. Secondly, I know everyone has different approaches for how rabbits should be bonded. The techniques that I used aren't the only way to do it, it's just what I chose to do. And with that out of the way, this is how I bonded Turbo and Jelly. So ever since I brought Jelly home, I always had a plan to keep her in our study room for a week to give her time to settle in. But on the 4th day, Turbo busted into the room and they saw each other. I picked up Turbo straight away and they didn't get anywhere near each other, so nothing bad happened. But since they now knew the other one existed and Jelly was already pretty much settled in, I decided to just start the bonding process. We started by introducing them in a neutral space. We set up a playpen in the hallway just outside our apartment door, and I sat in the playpen with them at first so that they would be less likely to fight, and if they did fight, I could easily break them up. They did really well their first meeting. There was lots of grooming, like grooming themselves, and they were also grooming each other. After that session, we moved them straight into their new pens, which were set up side by side. This is a form of passive bonding because even though you're not actively doing bonding sessions, they can still interact and slowly get used to each other. I put this foam pole thing in the middle to make sure that they couldn't bite each other through the pens, but you can use anything like plastic drink bottles or boxes, just something that stops the pens from getting too close to each other. A few hours later, we did another bonding session in the bathtub. We had a big towel to give them a softer surface with traction, and my partner sat in the tub this time to supervise. You can see Turbo was starting to mount Jelly, and he was pretty persistent about it. There are mixed opinions on whether you should allow bunnies to mount or chase during the bonding process. Some people feel that it's a negative behavior and it shouldn't be allowed to happen because then the bunny will associate the other rabbit with that kind of behavior and they'll be scared or nervous or stressed. Others feel that it's an important part of the bonding process because you need to let the bunnies establish their hierarchy in order for them to bond. I personally tend to agree with the latter, that the bunnies should be allowed to exhibit these dominance behaviors, but to a certain extent. There were times when even I felt like Turbo was kind of overdoing it a bit and it was really stressing Jelly out, so when I felt that was happening, then I would intervene and gently push him off. Later that night, I wanted to see how the bunnies would go in a pen together, and I was prepared for this to not go well and I would just stop straight away, but I felt pretty confident that they weren't going to go into a fight, so I decided to put Turbo into Jelly's pen since she was the new bunny and less likely to have any territorial based aggression, and they did pretty well. Jelly was understandably nervous, but they were okay being around each other. They even loafed together in the box and Jelly even flopped, which I just couldn't believe it. I never ever thought I would ever see bunnies get along so quickly. But I still separated them afterwards for the night. There was no way I was going to let them share a pen together just yet. The next few days we were experimenting with bonding in different spaces, like up on the table, different areas of the floor, even outside on the balcony.
No humping, come on. Just be nice. No. Hey. Hey. Come on. Get out of there. Hey. Hey.
Here we go again.
Oh, see. Thank you. See? She doesn't like it, Turbo. Jelly, you want to have a go?
She's taking it from my fingers now. Before it was like.
You did good. That was really good.
Okay. It's okay. Jelly, as long as you don't run, he won't chase you. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Why don't one of you groom the other one? If you did some grooming.
Hey, where are you? I only have a half hour for lunch.
Hello, handsome.
Okay, so this is.
Alex, sweetie, put the phone down until it sounds right, please. We have got to stay on these kids all. Phil, this is important.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Hey everybody, we're on our way to see the world's largest banyan tree. Does anybody want to come?
Now, why in the hell would anyone want to leave paradise?
You'll see that Turbo was very persistent with trying to mount Jelly, and she did not like it. She looked really scared. So I tried putting a towel over her to see what would happen, and funny enough, it kind of worked. He had no interest in mounting her, and he would just groom her instead. Hey, that's enough. That's enough. Day 6 is when we saw the biggest change. So I moved the bunnies to a new shared pen on the other side of the apartment, and I tried to make it as neutral as possible. I had all freshly washed bedding, a new litter box, and it was in an area that neither bunny has ever really spent much time in. And they were doing really well here. They were sharing food, napping together, grooming each other, and they were even able to spend the night together without any issue. Good morning. Oh my lord, that is a lot of poop. Who did those, huh? Is it you, Jelly? Is it you, Turbo? The next morning, I opened up that pen and let them into our study room to see how they would be in a bigger space, and I think it's safe to say that they really enjoyed it. And by day 8, we hadn't seen a fight in a couple days. We saw nothing but positive behaviors, so I considered them bonded and started free roaming them. So that was how I bonded Turbo and Jelly. Now, I know some people might think that was a little fast, and I definitely don't want to encourage people to rush the process. I think Turbo and Jelly had a relatively easy bond, as both of them have pretty gentle personalities and they've both been bonded to other bunnies before. As I mentioned at the start of the video, their bond did break about a month after. I woke up one morning to the sound of them fighting. I ran out and there was fur everywhere. Turbo had some really bad wounds, but he's very lucky that he didn't lose an eye. We don't know what caused it, but the leading explanation we have at the moment is spring fever, which is a theory, like I don't know if it's proven or not, but it's a theory that bunnies get more hormonal as the weather warms up, and apparently vets get a lot of calls during this time about bonded bunnies suddenly fighting. Anyway, stay tuned for part 2 where I talk about rebonding them. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will speak to you in the next one. Bye!